So it's an absolute pleasure to welcome back to the show a band that we've not had on for quite a few years now. A band that I absolutely love, always innovating, always trying something new. It's Guz from Old J. How you doing?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me and for the nice introduction.
No worries. Yeah, I think it must have been about 5 or 6 years ago. It was Bournemouth was the last time we caught up, and I think it was actually on the Relaxer tour, maybe? Or maybe before that.
Yeah, I think at the start of that Relaxer tour, we did a kind of seaside venues tour, which Bournemouth obviously was eligible for. So, yeah. An
amazing show. I think that was the first time I've ever seen you guys live as well. And actually, the last, because then, stuff's happened in between now and then.
Yeah.
But yes, so obviously we're looking forward to the future now. Things are starting to look a lot better. And one of those is your brand new album, The Dream, your fourth album, which is coming out on February 11th. You have recorded, obviously, like so many bands have, during lockdown, during the pandemic. When you went to write the album, I've seen in the notes that you decided to stay away from writing about the pandemic. Was that a very conscious decision really early on that you wanted to avoid kind of going too far into that because so many other people probably have and probably still will?
I don't think it was a conscious decision, but I think generally our MO is to sort of steer clear of current events and things like that when we're writing songs. We tend to sort of write slightly more kind of romantic, sort of sprawling, spiralling, strange flights of fancy rather than engaging directly with kind of what's in the news or even worse, politics. But that being said, we did actually touch on the pandemic in one song, Get Better, which is a song that's about long-term illness and grief and someone, losing their partner. But so in a way, perhaps it was the pandemic that was the sort of first event that was momentous enough for us to make mention of it, albeit very briefly.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, we couldn't travel, of course, over the last couple of years. But I think so we did quite a lot of armchair traveling on this album, writing quite a few songs about America where we normally spend a lot of time as a band, and time traveling, writing songs about different periods in history and different kind of imagined things from the past and stuff. So yeah, bit of an armchair travelers album.
So yeah, obviously with so many people, you've had a lot more time to write, and I see you started recording in August 2020, but it didn't finish recording until July 21. So that's quite a long recording period. Was that A, because you had more time, or B, is that quite normal for you guys, actually, that sort of length?
It was longer than normal. I think the lockdowns, did kind of like kick big holes in the schedule, but actually it was quite healthy for us in a way, that way of working, of having sort of like enforced breaks, because I think it meant that we didn't suffer from studio burnout, which can be a real thing, where you're stuck in this kind of submarine environment with the same few people for months on end and, all trying to work on some big project. And that can be when, tempers start to run high and disagreements can happen. But actually, the pandemic sort of gave us quite a healthy work-life balance, which was very nice. And so we took longer over this album than we've ever taken before, but I think it was a better album as a result.
Yeah, I mean, for me, you guys are one of the few bands that I can never compare to anyone else. Mm-hmm. Your sound is completely Alt J. There's no one else that even comes close. What do you think makes you?
I think we have a very lucky kind of combination of backgrounds that creates quite a unique recipe. We've got like basically a drummer who grew up only ever listening to and playing heavy metal. We've got a singer whose dad kind of schooled him in singer-songwriter, Americana, kind of classic songwriting. And then you've got me, who kind of has more of a background in classical music, but also quite a sort of strong interest and background in folk music. And I think when you put those three things together, the kind of, a bit of James Taylor, a bit of Bach, and a bit of, Metallica, you get something quite special, which is Alt J, but it's quite, and that makes us quite unique. And also, I think means we kind of have all bases covered from, sort of like big choruses. We've got kind of an understanding of how music works on a very theoretical level. And we've got, like an amazing rhythm section. I mean, people say that the best drummers come from jazz or metal. We've got metal. But, so yeah, I think it's something to do with that.
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact, Bach to Metallica, which...
Yeah, well, they're not that different, but some people would say,
But it does work. Well, however you guys formed, it is uniquely you, and it's always beautiful music as well. One thing I've loved about you guys since the start. But there's one bit that I saw on like the press release for the album, which is like, oh, it's mostly about murder. This album. It's like the most positive statement going.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I think we've always been a little bit obsessed with death in our lyrics, sort of love and death and kind of like tragic romance and that kind of thing. And then during the pandemic, Joe, our singer, got particularly into listening to true crime podcasts, which I think essentially just kind of like fueled his interest in that kind of like darker side of life. I mean, I suppose, we're all, as human beings, the one thing we know for sure is that we're going to die one day. So it's something that's all kind of on our minds all the time, whether consciously or subconsciously. And, I think even going back to our first album, we've enjoyed stories of kind of like doomed love, like our song Tarot about two war photographers who fall in love and, both, or one of them dies and then the other dies later, which is a true story. And then, still up to speed on this album, we're still kind of like finding or creating these kind of like slightly twisted, sad love stories that, often do involve, unfortunately, someone pegging it.
What a wonderful way to put it. It's a wonderful album about people pegging it.
Yeah.
Obviously, the big single that we had was U&ME. It's the first single for the album, which was just fabulous. And then we've got the current single now, which has just come out, Hard Drive Gold, which is another great track. I love the fact it's written about cryptocurrency. It's just...
Yeah.
Of a subject of a song, there's not many written about cryptocurrency, I don't think.
Not yet, but I imagine there will be more as time goes on. Yeah, I think we just thought it was. I think sometimes we often find that the songs that we kind of like take the least seriously end up being our biggest hits. And we were kind of like, we thought this was a bit of a fun song, a bit throwaway. It's definitely quite tongue in cheek, but ended up being one that everybody we played it to was like, wow, that's really great. That could be a hit. So we went with it, and. Yeah, it's about a 15-year-old boy who kind of like becomes a cryptocurrency millionaire, and sort of like the different people in his life who are kind of like, either giving him a hard time or telling him he's doing the right thing. And I suppose it's a bit ironic as a song. It's got this kind of like chorus, don't be afraid to make money. It's not necessarily, strictly speaking, what we think, but it's not what we think either. It sort of leaves the listener to make up their own mind.
No, it's another great song, and it's like I keep saying, it's uniquely you. I think there's only so many bands that could probably get away with writing a cryptocurrency song, and you'd probably be in the top two that I'd instantly think of. If somebody said, "Who's written a cryptocurrency song?" Yeah, old Jay.
Great.
I've just got a quick game for you.
Yeah.
If you want to play along, it's called Streamy. Say that you stream me. Basically, it's higher or lower. It's completely a rip off of good old Bruce Forsyth. But we do it with Spotify. So this is just your streams. All I want to know is higher or lower. If we were in person, there would be a prize, but unfortunately, no prize. Just pride.
Just glory.
Just pure glory. So the first track we're starting with is 3WW, which is 52 million. So that's your base level. So is higher or lower for something good?
Higher.
Yes, easily. That's 110 million.
Nice.
So we're going from 110 to... I think this is going to be quite an easy one. Hard Drive Gold. Higher or lower than 110 million?
Currently lower.
Yeah. But it's still 1.7 million. It's only been out like a week. That's good going.
That's good. Hopefully next time when we're on here promoting our fifth album, that one might be riding high.
Yeah, it would be a lot higher because these numbers get big. So then we're moving from 1.7 million to Dead Crush. Higher or lower?
Higher.
Yeah. I mean... I don't think there's actually a song with less streams on your account than 1.7 million. So
we'll take that.
Yeah,
that as a good thing.
So Dead Crush, we're at 65 million.
Oh, okay.
Then we're going to Breeze Blocks. Higher or lower than 65?
Well, that's a gimme. I'm going to say higher.
Yeah, over 500 million. We're at 567 million streams for Breeze Blocks.
That is good, isn't it? Yeah.
It's all right, isn't it? It's not bad.
Okay. No.
So we're going from 567 million to Every Other Freckle.
Well, I mean, I think Breeze Box is our biggest song, so I'm going to say lower.
Yes, yeah. But 121 million, it's still, that's still a massive number. And then we go from 121 million to Tessellate, higher or lower than 121?
That's a bit harder, but I think I'm going to say higher.
Oh, yes. Just as well. 137.
Really? That's really interesting. Okay. I thought that might be in the 200s, but okay, all right. Okay.
Well, you've not got one wrong yet. So we're going from 137 to In Cold Blood, higher or lower than 137 million.
That's quite a hard one because that was like the big single, I would say, on the last album. But equally, Tessellate is from our first album, arguably our most beloved album. So I'm going to say lower.
Yes, 82 million.
Okay.
Then we're actually moving on to my favourite Alt J track, Matilda. Is it higher or lower than 82 million?
Well, I think you're not alone there. I think it's going to be higher.
Yes, 97. I was quite surprised. I was expecting that to be a lot higher.
That is interesting. That is, yeah, me too. I feel like there's a couple I could have got wrong here, but I haven't got any wrong so far.
No,
but, yeah.
And we're moving on to the last one.
Okay.
So we're going from 97 million to Left Hand Free.
That's got to be higher. It's got to be higher.
Yeah, 280.
Okay. Wow, it turns out I know our streaming numbers pretty well.
Yeah, you smashed it out of the park. That's the first time anyone's got through this game with, a 100% score.
Oh well, I'm very pleased to be the first.
Yeah.
But I think there's I think the highs and lowers. Do you know what I mean? If you'd asked me numbers, which would be obviously a lot harder, I think I would have got some drastically wrong. Yeah. But I really enjoyed that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. So obviously we've got the new album, The Dream, your 4th album coming out on the 11th of Feb. A mixture of cryptocurrency and murder, and just wonderful sounding Alt J. What have you got lined up for you guys?
Well, we are at the moment doing lots of promotion, getting ready to release this album. Then we're going to be heading off to the States on tour for 2 months. That starts in late February. And then we are going to be doing a UK tour in May. And so we're really looking forward to getting back, playing some home gigs, which will be really fun. We're doing gigs all over the country, up and down, and hope that, people can come see us.
Yeah. Well, it's been amazing chatting to you, Gus. Thank you so much for joining us today. Absolutely love you guys. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, and all the best.
Cheers. You too.